What's up, guys? Cameron here from Drums and Drams, and today I'm going to reveal my number 3 whiskey of 2023. For those of you who have been following along with this series, I want to say thank you for checking it out. The number 5 whiskey of the year video generated quite a bit of conversation. Some people were not so happy in the comment section. And video number 4, which I'm not going to spoil what the whiskeys actually were. If you want to go back and watch this in order, I'll drop those links in the description of this video. But whiskey number 4 did not generate quite the conversation in the comment section because I feel like it was a pretty widespread release, a pretty predictable whiskey, a great whiskey, good stats, good price, all that kind of stuff. But I think as we get into today's number 3 pick, we might enter a little bit more into that controversial or contentious territory again. So let me know in the comment section what you think. Please keep things respectful. I hate when I see a lot of flaming going on in the comment section and people losing their minds. But feel free to disagree. Let me know what you think about this choice. And the last thing I want to say before we get into this video and we do this reveal is that this top 5 for me is a fun project. I'm just a guy on YouTube, that likes to nerd out about whiskey, taste it, tell you guys what I think of it, and just kind of have a good time, build community around this. This is not some official critical list. I'm not an official whiskey critic by any means. And so when you look at my list, take it with a grain of salt. Take all of these lists like a grain of salt. I'm going to say this at the beginning of all of these top 5 videos. But with that disclaimer out of the way, let's move into this reveal. First, I'm going to give you a few notes on the nose and on the palate. Look around at the bottles on the table, see if you, think that you might have an idea of what this is going to be. But now let's check this thing out on the nose and see what we get. All right, so if you ever want to know what sweet oak smells like, this is the bourbon. It's not a super affordable or accessible bourbon to kind of figure that note out. But if you want to know what sweet oak smells like and tastes like, this is a good place to start if you have the opportunity, let's say. Big sweet oak, big vanilla cream notes on this one. Kind of an oatmeal cookie note on this. It actually reminds me of those, those oatmeal cookie sandwiches that you get. I can't remember what they're called. They come in the little, plastic wrappers. It's like the 2 things and the filling on the inside. It kind of reminds me of that oatmeal cookie note, that vanilla frosting, vanilla filling note, but it's a really nice, sweet, decadent, not an artificial vanilla. None of that stuff. And then again, tons of sweet oak. There's also some fruit notes in here too. Yeah, I would go with maybe raspberries. It's got this kind of berry quality, blueberries, raspberries, really nice. Overall, it's a super balanced nose. It's certainly a lower proof than some of those rip your face off bourbons that people like to see on these end of the year lists, but I think this certainly earns its spot on this list because of its profile, and also because of the fact that this is essentially a modern Dusty. This thing smells like a Dusty. We're going to taste it here in a second. I can tell you already it tastes like a Dusty. It's delicious stuff. So here we go. Cheers. Oh, that pop right up front is so good. You actually get a little bit of sourness. It's a sweet and sour hit at the front of the palate, and that's what I like about this. Keeps things interesting. And sweet and sour, it feels like we're talking sweet and sour sauce. We're not. But the ideas of sweet and sour coming together often are more of a Scotch thing. When you get them on American whiskey, I find that on a lot of heavily aged Jim Beam products. I don't know if that's your experience, but Knob Creek 12 and up, I get this sour arrival on the palate, sweet and sour. That happens here, but this is not a Jim Beam product. Up front, it's all of this sweet oak goodness, and there are these awesome pie crust notes going on in here. Great classic bourbon, but like I said just before I tasted it, this is like a modern Dusty. It has those notes of old furniture, like walking into an antique store, old leather goods, old leather products, whatever. That kind of dusty smell, if you've ever had the chance to try a whiskey from, let's say, the 90s or earlier, you kind of know what I'm talking about. That old school butterscotch note as well. This has that profile, and it's a modern whiskey, which is so crazy to me. For those of you who are looking at the bottles on the table, you probably know where this is going for this number 3 whiskey. It's a great palate. It's not a super long finish. That's kind of the knock on this one, but what shines here, first and foremost, is just the flavor profile. So let's do one more sip and then I'll do the reveal. Wow. And the last thing I want to call out is how this thing actually feels on the palate. It's velvety. It's like this silky, velvety mouthfeel. A little thin. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But we don't get this palate experience very often on whiskeys, and we definitely don't get this flavor profile anymore. I mean, modern whiskeys just shy away from this. I don't know what the difference is to make older whiskeys taste this way, the whiskeys of decades past, but now we have a modern example, and it's a really cool thing. So there's only one whiskey on this table I could be talking about for my number 3, and that is this Michter's 10-year single barrel bourbon. And here comes the disclaimers, and here comes the fact that, yes, this is a single barrel. I have one of those kind of highly acclaimed A batch barrels. That's what we call them, the A batch, but these are single barrels. The A on the neck tag, in this case for Michter's, just means that they were bottled in January. So A being the first month of the year, and then when you see the subsequent B, C, D, all that kind of stuff, you just go down the line months of the year. And there are all these rumors that these A barrels are the best barrels. I can neither confirm nor deny. I've never done a comparison. I've only tasted A barrels this year. They've all been delicious, but your mileage will definitely vary, I think, on these things, because if that is the case, let's say, then maybe the A barrels are better, maybe they're not. I don't know. I'm going to see if I can do a comparison sometime in the near future of some different, bottlings from different months, and see if for some reason these barrels were the honey barrels of the lot. I have no idea. But even so, I mean, these are single barrels we're talking about. So even within the A batch, the ones that I've tried have been different. This is a very, very good example, good enough to make number 3 of the year. And I have a sample of another A barrel over there that is possibly the best whiskey I've tasted all year. So it's tough to put this in a spot as a single barrel. And critics like Fred Minnick, I think, have the right idea with all of this, which is you have to have at least 500 bottles on the market, so you can't include single barrels. In this case, again, my top 5 list is a little different. It's not an official critics list, and I'm just going by what I tasted this year. I know it's a single barrel. I know they're all going to be different. The A barrels for me have been pretty consistent across the board, enough for me to put this in the number 3 spot, and it wasn't a hard decision for me to put this in that spot. This is maybe the easiest spot of my top 5. This Michter's 10 bourbon 2023 A batch barrel, specifically A0307 in this case. These are great bottles. At SRP, they're great. I think they're worth, somewhere over SRP. They're certainly not worth the $450 on secondary market unless you're into spending that kind of money. And look, I have overpaid for these because I really like it. I'm not suggesting you do the same. You should spend your money how you want. Taste the whiskeys that, taste with your own critical, palate on these things, and make your own decisions. Don't listen too much to people on YouTube telling you, but this is just my number 3 whiskey of the year. I love it. I can't put it down. When I pick up this bottle, it's danger zone time because I can't stop drinking it. And I feel like that's going to be the case after I get done filming this video. So cheers, guys. Thanks for checking this out. Let me know in the comments what you think about this choice. Is this as heinous as my number 5 choice or not? I'm not sure. Drop a like, comment below, subscribe to the channel if you enjoy this, and I'll see you guys for whiskey number 2 of 2023. Cheers.